Good morning. I'm here with Kip Cullers this morning. And Kip, if you're not familiar with him, is kind of a rock star in the farming world. Kip, you live down in southwest Missouri. I know that you grow a lot of things other than just corn, soybeans, wheat, and alfalfa. You grow a lot of green beans and other things. But Kip, you've worked with us now for, 5-6 years at least. I know you've used a lot of our products, Amplify and Wex and Magnify and things like our manganese with your glyphosate for many, many years. But several years ago, you brought us a product, and we're going to talk about 3 products specifically that you've had your hand in developing and helping us bring to market. And that is Nutrient Compass, what we call Kip Cullers Nutrient Compass Foliar Fertilizer, Intensify that was just introduced this year, and our Sinto. So what we want to do in a brief call here is talk about what those products are, what their purpose is, what their application is, what kind of expectations we should have from the use of these products, and specifically co-application, when and where to use them together and if there's any place not to. So Kip, tell us a little bit about the background of, let's take those in the order that we've introduced them. The Nutrient Compass, I know you've worked with for many, many years, initiating some of your research and development down in South America. Tell us about Nutrient Compass, the specifics of the product, and what's maybe been improved over the years as you've developed it.
Well, so Dennis, we've been working with that, 20 plus years. I originally developed all that here on the farm. And what the deal was, in the vegetable world, everything's high input, a lot of gross money, and you just do crazy stuff, spinach go to the field 10, 12 times, but for the normal corn and soybean farmer, that's just not practical. So I figured out that, and even on my farm, I can't go over my fields, that many times. So what we end up doing is I figured out how to combine it all together, which was quite a challenge. And once I figured that part out, it was pretty simple from that point forward. Once we figured out to quit plugging up everybody's sprayers, and I did all that research down in South America. And this year down there, and what we sell down in South America would be Nutrient Compass and Intensify mixed together, already pre-mixed down there. They have some different rules on stuff traveling down the road. And here in the U.S., the problem is that that pH, you got to keep it low to keep the hormones alive. And if you do that here in the U.S., you have to have hazmat. So it's just kind of your government at work. But anyways, so what we had done down there this year, we work with a company in actually Paraguay that sells our stuff. And they do a lot of on-farm research. And I think the worst result they've had on soybeans down there has been like 8 bushels to the acre, and it goes on up to 20. Now, remember, all this stuff, the more it rains, the better it does. So, it's tropical down there, and, all them good things. And so they never like for rain. It's sandy, but the chances of it being quite that good here is probably not as likely as it is down there. But anyways, that's kind of basically the background on it.
Okay, and the Nutrient Compass, the way you've packaged it, and the way we've sold it here in the U.S. is, we introduced it over a 3-year testing period, so we've got thousands of test plot results. And I tell people the most conservative number, if you take all those plots into consideration, is a 3-bushel increase on beans and a 7-bushel on corn, which is still a really good payback. And basically it takes, about 1 bushel on beans to pay for it. It takes probably a couple bushels on corn, 2.5 maybe, to pay for it at current depressed prices. But the thing that probably the best single set of data we've seen is from Central Nebraska, an independent crop consulting outfit, tested 32 different hybrids, 3 replications each, 1 application of Nutrient Compass. And your recommendation is to put on a quart with your glyphosate, so that early V3 to V5 is kind of the window for corn and beans. And they saw an average of a 12-bushel yield response, ranging from a low of 2 bushel to a high of 27. I would tell you this, Kip, from my perspective, dealing with the product since we introduced it, every single customer that I've had that's tried Nutrient Compass has now been using it on every acre since, every year. It's just not even a question, because they've seen, again, sometimes we've seen to that 3 to 7 bushel. Other times we see that 15 to 20 bushel. And you're right. In moisture, I've always told people the number one nutrient any crop needs is water. And with Nebraska being so much of our ground here is irrigated, that's under irrigation, it's always going to pay you well.
Yes, I would agree, and that's we use it on every acre, and on my farm this year, the way we're going to do it is on all of our green beans and all of our corn, we're going to mix the two together, Nutrient Compass and Intensify, and run on every acre of green beans and corn.
Okay.
And then now on our soybeans, that's a little different story. Our double crop beans, remember we got such a long growing season, and we grow a late group 4, which have a tendency to get kind of tall. And this stuff will make everything get taller. But unless you're, in that late group 4 maturity and your beans are getting chest high, you don't really have too much to worry about, like I would. But so what we'll do is we'll run it on our double crop beans, but not our single crop beans, because our beans do get too tall. So if you're working with anybody down south, I just caution you that it can cause stuff to get a little taller. But there's also times, if you're up north in the Dakotas or Minnesota or somewheres, your beans don't get tall enough. And this is a way to get them to get a little taller.
Well, and I think especially this year, what we're looking at is a later planting date for a lot of guys, and I think they're looking for ways to help things catch up. And I think both of these products are really a key to that. Now, okay, so for Nutrient Compass, you can put it on multiple times, but the first application is that V3 to V5 with your glyphosate is kind of what you designed it for, right?
Correct.
So the Intensify, now let's talk about Intensify. This is the very first year for Intensify in the U.S., but I know you've been working with it in South America, and what you've told me is that down in South America, everybody uses plant growth regulators, and so there's really never a comparison between Intensify and nothing. It's always against other ones. And explain the difference between, just in general terms, between Nutrient Compass and Intensify. They're not the same mode of action, not the same ingredients.
Absolutely not. So Nutrient Compass is more of a micro pack with it does have some hormones in it. They're just more of a natural. But it's just two totally different deals. The Intensify is 100% hormones, so it's gibberellic acid and IBA. IBA encourages root growth, and the gibberellic acid encourages vegetative growth. So there's really nothing on the market that's quite like it. There's some similar stuff, but the big thing that I know about it is we're about a third the price of what everybody else is whenever you combine the two together. So, which is pretty exciting. And when I was talking about those yield increases, that was not against naked. That was up against current products, and everybody's already doing something. So we don't ever get to test against nothing. We always have to test against something. So, it's pretty exciting. Like I said, if the stars line up, this stuff is just amazing what it does.
So we're looking at, with Nutrient Compass, a foliar application only, and that sweet spot is this 3 to V5, but you can apply it later. Now, in the Intensify, your first application you'd like to see is in furrow, right?
Yep, you could run it in furrow, and then you could also come back across the top with your Nutrient Compass. So, and that's what we're going to do. You bet.
Now, when we talk about the in furrow, is there anything that Intensify, and I love the packaging on it. One single container treats 50 acres, foliar or in furrow, but is there anything that we know of that you can't mix it with? I mean, you can mix it with fertilizers, you can mix it with insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, anything you might be putting in furrow, CentOS, our sugar product. Is there anything?
Not aware of anything you couldn't mix it with.
Okay.
And the mixing ability on that is absolutely amazing. I guarantee you this one, there is nothing on the market that mixes as easy as that stuff does. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if I've gotten a lot of text from different guys that's used it for the first time. And it dissolves like in water. It won't even get to hit the bottom of the tank. And it's completely dissolved. Fertilizer, it may take it a couple of minutes. Time you get to the field or out the driveway, it's completely dissolved. So it's just amazing on how that stuff is able to dissolve as quick and easy as it does.
Yeah, our chemist really did a trick on this product, and the shipping is so easy. I mean, I was shipping out some stuff yesterday to a guy, a couple of totes, and we had on 10 Intensifies for him for 500 acres, and I think it raised the freight bill $50 or something.
Yeah, I mean,
so
even
lightweight.
UPS. Yeah, even UPS you can ship, 5 or 6 of them for $12. I mean,
yeah.
It's just whatever fits in one of them little, because it don't weigh anything.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the mixing on it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm just really, really excited, and I don't think I have a single customer that's not using it on at least a few acres. But we've got a lot of guys ordering 40 and 50 units for all their acres. They've seen what Nutrient Compass will do, and they understand. And by the way, thank you. That 1 minute and 46-second video where you explain what the product is so well done, and that really tells people all they really need to know about Intensify. But so Intensify, I'd put it on at least in furrow and try to co-apply it with my Nutrient Compass. Could I put it on later than that, and would there be much benefit?
Now there's where it gets a little sticky. When you get into reproductive, you're Chris is running some, and I'm going to run some too when we're running our Persaro on our wheat. You can jack the hormones up so much that you get everything out of balance, and in that reproductive stage, that's probably not the time to run it. Now, like I said, we're going to run some experiments, and if you got somebody that's putting fungicide on their corn, whenever it's. Now, I mean, you could run it, at V10 to V15. My concern would probably be more whenever it's, trying to fill the ear or pollinating or something in that stage. But if you got somebody that's, wants to experiment, that'd be a good time to experiment and see, exactly what does happen. But that's probably the time I would say probably wouldn't be the time to do it, because like I said, you can get those hormones so jacked up that could be a problem.
Sure. What about wheat? Let's talk about wheat, because we've still got plenty of window here for wheat.
On spring wheat, I'd put it on, in furrow. Same thing. If you're running any herbicide program at the 4th leaf stage, peaks 3 or peaks 4, it's going to encourage more tillering. But also remember, it's going to cause it to get a little taller. So if you're running like Palisade, which is a GA3 blocker, you've got an opposite effect.
Okay. Yeah. What about on winter wheat?
Same deal. In the spring, green up would be a good time to run it if your wheat doesn't get too tall.
Right.
But that's another thing is we raise 100 bushel wheat. Our wheat has a tendency to try to get a little, leggy on us.
There are some guys that they raise wheat mainly for the straw. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
For them, it might be a great deal.
Might be a great deal.
What about alfalfa? That's a big crop here.
After you cut it, you let it kind of green back up, be perfect.
Okay. You can co-apply.
You can run it. You can co-apply with anything.
What's that?
You can co-apply that with anything.
Yeah, so if you're coming back with a foliar feed, it will fertilize your micros.
Be perfect.
Now, let me ask you this, because a lot of our guys have developed a program where they're using Excito, which is both cytokinin, so it's a different mode of action than what you're talking about here. Could it be co-applied with Excito?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's wrap things up and talk about Sinto. I know that You've been using sugars, as most of our guys that have been NCJ competition folks for many, many years. First guy I've ever heard talk about it was when I did some meetings with Ray Rawson many years ago. He said they were putting on a pound of sugar every time they went over the field, up to a maximum of 10 pounds per acre. Well, that may be a little overkill, but we've got now with CentOS, and I know you had something to do with developing that product. The CentOS is 3 forms of sugar, but it's number one. It's got the fulvic acid in it, and it's packaged and it's designed as an agricultural sugar. Tell us when and where we should be using CentOS.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
In furrow and a pint is the rate? Okay.
Yep, pint every time you spray.
Okay.
If you're wanting to raise high yields.
Yep. And in your mind, what does CentOS really do for the crop?
Well, the big thing is it's got fulvic acid in it. So, we didn't want to have the same sugar that everybody else got. And we wanted it simple to use. Now, I don't know if you've had any issues. I've had a few guys that got some in the middle of the winter, and I don't know. I think they must let it get a little too cold or something. And they had a little problem with it, but I told them how to blow it back up, just blow some air in it and re-agitate it, and it comes right back in suspension. And what that is the fulvic that's causing that.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to be like everybody else and not have any problems, you'll use the cheap stuff. So, the fulvic's where the issue is, but we don't want to take the fulvic out because that's the big one there that helps so much. And that we run it every pass. We got a sugar source in there, and I hate granular, even though there's several products out there that they say is relatively easy to mix. Well, it is relatively easy to mix compared to white sugar, but it's not near as easy as CentOS. It's already in liquid form, and we get it in 250-gallon totes, and it's about 80 cents an acre. And I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, you bet. The thing that we found is, there's a couple of situations where we run into instances where we had stuff that kind of got thick or it wouldn't pump. But a little bit of water, you can dilute it, just to increase your rate. Then if you mix it with a little warm water or something to get in suspension. What we found also is if you could just get it out of a cold shed, if it's been sitting there for a month or two, and
warm it up,
shed and let the sun heat up that tote, that usually resolves it too. But it's a sugar, and so you're going to have some of those things that I didn't realize was the fulvic acid in there that was causing that.
Yeah, it's the fulvic source problem was. That's what I told Alex Chavez, it's fulvic. But,
so what's it do for in foliar applications? I mean, I know in furrow we're going to speed up, we're going to improve metabolism of our soil microbes and things like that. But in the foliar application, what's the big benefit of using, say, a CentOS with herbicides and pesticides, fungicides?
Well, you're still charging everything up, and basically you're just speeding that plant's metabolism up, and making it happy, and it just wants to grow. It increases photosynthesis, and it's just it's a real simple, cheap way to help increase yields. And and now remember on our contest, you said Ray Rawson ran it 10 times. We probably ran it 20, but on our contest. Now, our normal acres will run it, with their, in furrow, anytime we're running across the field, run it. So, typically you're going to have 3 applications with it.
You bet. Very good. Well, Kip, I think we covered anything. Any final comments you'd have before we hang up this morning?
No, you just have to try stuff and, try to get to Chris Ledbetter's Wheat Field Day is going today. And if you if you're not there, you missed a golden opportunity to go learn from stuff and just get out and go experiment and see what's going on in the world and try to get to field days and see what other guys are doing. And that's how I learned is, going and listening to people. And, whenever you go to those, not everything that somebody's doing may not work for you, but if you just pick up one little new tidbit thing or try something new, it's well worth your time and effort to go and see what's new out there.
You bet. Kip, I appreciate your support and the encouragement for our guys. And here's a guy, folks, that 3-time world record holder in soybeans, and I'm sure he's not through there, and many-time winner in the NCG National Corn Yield Competition. And Kip farms a lot of ground and has had a lot of experience, and he experiments. And as I've heard you say, Kip, before, you like to kind of go over the cliff and then back up just a little bit. And so
yeah,
you gotta try things. And Kip, I see you at Conklin Pro Ags multiple times every winter, and it's not like you've never learned it all. You know, when you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. And
yes.
It's always important to keep growing. So, hey, we thank you for your participation on the call this morning. We thank you for your support and these new products that are just really helping our guys some significant increase in their yields and their profits on the farms.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kip.